Hello everybody, I'm TychoCelchuuu and we have something special for you today. I say we, but it's just me. This is a Starcraft II replay, as you can see, between Nick Breckon and Superhero. So for those of you who are subscribers to my YouTube channel, Nick Breckon is a host of the popular video game podcast Idle Thumbs, and Superhero is one of the Idle Thumbs fans. And last night Nick Breckon beat Dark Souls 2 on stream, so to cool down from that, to come off that high, he decided to play something else, and it was decided he would play a match against Superhero in Starcraft II. Nick Breckon has not played Starcraft II for like 6 years, since 2011. Superhero is a Diamond League, I think Zerg player, so the match is not very even, but here we go. This is a replay. I watched this last night live, but we're going to shoutcast this just to... Oh, and I haven't played Starcraft II since 2010. With one exception that will be noted in a later video, so I am completely unqualified to cast this, but that's okay because Nick Breckon is unqualified to play this. So right off the bat we see Nick Breckon sort of trying to figure out what his SCVs do. I remember he was very surprised to learn that now you start with 13 SCVs. We also see a bit of an APM sort of deficit on Nick Breckon's side, but I'm sure he'll make that up as we get later into the match. He's not a pro, so he's not spamming APM in the beginning of the match to keep his fingers limber. So we have two SCVs being tasked to build. I think this is slightly unusual. At this point, Nick Breckon was trying to figure out why he couldn't build a barracks. It's because you have to build a supply depot first. So now we have doubling up to get that wall off. We have a scout out real fast from Superhero trying to find where Breckon is hiding. Breckon has forgotten to scout, but he has remembered to build a Vespene harvester, one Vespene refinery, not two. We see both players still at 0 Vespene income, but soon when Superhero gets these two online, Superhero is probably going to power past Breckon in the Vespene, which is all important for teching. And we also have an eBay going up for reasons that were probably unclear even at the time to Breckon. So just a little bit about Starcraft II for people on my channel who haven't watched this game before. Basically it's like Starcraft, but 3D. So now we have the first of Nick Breckon's idle SCVs. This I think is maybe not going to move for the rest of the game. Maybe it will, but this one won't. Oh, that one moved. There we go. So Nick Breckon is going for a fast expand here. This command center going to be able to be floated out to any sort of available place. Superhero still hasn't found the base of Breckon, but Superhero also going for a fast expand. I'm not sure if these are fast or not. I actually have no idea of the meta in terms of how this works. So if we look at the mineral and gas, Nick Breckon not doing too shabby. Actually keeping up fairly impressively, given that we're 2 minutes into this game and Breckon has no idea what he's doing. Is falling behind on harvesters, but looks like the second refinery is going up, so soon the Vespene income will equalize. And once this expansion goes up, it looks like Breckon will stay on a par. In terms of army supply, pretty even, 4 versus 3 for both of them. So they're both going pretty well. We have the mothership core out, and it looks like things are kicking into gear. We have 3 gateways going up, 1 gateway already up, and so we're going to see some adepts popping out. I'm a little fuzzy on what adepts do. They can teleport around, they're ranged. Can we like hover over a unit description here? Ranged specialists can use psionic transfer. Great. So I guess these are the cool things to use instead of zealots nowadays, because they're much better for harassing. They can teleport over like gaps in cliff. No, they can't teleport over the gaps in the cliff. They send their little echo thingy, the shade, forward, and then you can teleport to that. But anyways, it gives them a lot of mobility and stuff, and since they're ranged, they can more easily pick off your opponents, especially against the Terrans, where you know you're going to be taking some hits from those Marines at a range anyways. So we have some adepts flown out from this gateway. Not too many. You don't want to get rid of all your Vespene gas too early, but Superhero ramping up the production, teching out pretty well. We have a command center being upgraded to a planetary fortress. I think Nick Breckon freaking out a bit at these adepts firing at him, and now we do finally have the scout from Superhero. Breckon has managed to scout with his 2 Marines, but unfortunately does not luck out, manages to scout the 2 places where Superhero is not. So, you know, let's do a quick APM check, and it looks like Breckon is still sort of at a bit of a deficit. Not much he can do about that. He is rusty. Remember, it's been 6 years since he's played this game. Back when Nick Breckon did play, he managed to make it up to Diamond League in a 1v1, so he was not terrible. Superheroes in Diamond League right now. I don't know if it actually is harder to get into Diamond these days than it was back when Starcraft II was super popular, or if it's easier, but Superhero is not terrible is what I'm saying. And we have an observer out to keep a close watch on what's going on. So we have 4 geysers, or 4 simulators up and running for the Protoss, whereas this planetary fortress is pretty much sitting on its lonesome. Breckon floating a fair amount of resources, could definitely be spamming some SCVs here. Is not supply blocked or anything like that. I think he's just busy sort of trying to build add-ons and research stim packs. There's a lot of things to click on in this game. Notice army supply still more or less even. Breckon pumping out some Marines, keeping pace with what is he keeping pace with? Where's the army? Oh, we have these dreaded sentries coming up, going to negate a lot of the damage from the Marines once they use their Guardian Shield. Reduces range damage to friendly units by 2. And if you look at the Marine damage, look, these guys only do 7 damage, and that's with an upgrade, so an upgrade from the eBay. So reducing that by 2 is basically like they're just pissing into the wind. So a really exciting match we've got so far. Nick Breckon supply capping himself at this point, so needs some more depot out. Drops a single mule. Oh, is not, so must have just used the mule, so down to 50 energy. Hasn't scanned, I believe, yet, and we have a spaceport, starport. What's this called? A starport going up. I don't know why they don't call it a spaceport. That makes a lot more sense than a starport, because they've already used star for the name of the game, so you don't want to double up on the stars. You can't have a starport in StarCraft. That's just inviting confusion. If this were spacecraft, I could certainly condone a starport, but this isn't spacecraft. This hasn't been spacecraft. Legend has it that when Blizzard was first making StarCraft, they wanted to make a Warhammer 40,000 game because they had wanted to make a Warhammer game with Warcraft. That hadn't worked out. And so they went to Games Workshop and they were like, we want to make a Warhammer 40,000 game called Spacecraft. And Games Workshop was like, no, if you're going to make a Warhammer 40,000 game, you have to call it like Warhammer 40,000. And Blizzard was like, no, they were very adamant that Spacecraft was the correct name for the video game, and it all became a horrendous legal battle. And anyways, the name Spacecraft just got attached to so much bad feeling at Blizzard that they sort of threw it in the trash, and ironically, since they were so attached to it in the first place, ended up going with StarCraft. And that's how we got the game that we have today. And without that, Korea would have been a very different nation. We have 1 worker at each of these 2 refineries. I'm not sure if that's some sort of strategy Breckon has worked out, because he really wants to keep those minerals going. If we check the minerals, we do see Breckon doing not so bad mineral-wise compared to Superhero, although, well, it keeps fluctuating. Yeah, so we have this this nice little warp prism drop, getting Breckon to sort of prematurely pop the stim pack, run over. Nothing happens. Breckon does have a missile turret up near the front. Not sure exactly what this is guarding. If they decide to harass the expansion, that's not going to help. If they decide to harass the main, this is the clear sort of attack vector. But it is nice just to have one of these things, just in case, you know, any cloaked units decide to walk in this this vicinity. Cloaking, one of those things that new players really have to be on the lookout for, because if you can't even see the enemy, you have no chance. And if you forget the detection, which is so easy to do in a game like StarCraft, your opponent can just walk in, waltz in. So at one point an SCV was killed building the supply depot. Breckon never remedied the deficiency, and so we just have a unbuilt supply depot being dismantled by these adepts here. It's interesting that the adepts aren't trying anything more exciting. I suppose Superhero knows that the only thing you can do is come in, harass with the warp prism, and then jet out. Breckon now trying to lock this down with these missile turrets. So I guess when you're building a supply depot, it can't get set on fire. Terran buildings can, of course, be set on fire, and they will eventually burn down, but something about the building materials is that they don't add the flammable components until the very end. I guess that's when you move in all your IKEA furniture or whatever, and that stuff will just go whoosh, up in flames if anyone looks at it askance. So that hasn't happened yet, and this means it's perfectly hunky-dory. So that missile turret has now discouraged the sort of lackadaisical drops that Superhero was up to. The Warp Prism took some damage on its shields, nothing it won't heal up. We have a third expansion going up, or a second expansion, a third Nexus going up from Superhero, who is somehow at 18 out of 12 workers. I guess that's like a pro strat. You get a bunch of probes here, and then once this is up, you transfer. Nick Breckon, I don't think has that planned, but he does have way too many workers. Both of his command centers, or I suppose one is a planetary fortress now and the other is an orbital command. I guess for an orbital command to work, what was that? What was that red thing? Good lord. For an orbital command, what the oh, when you hover over it, it just shows you the radius of it. I guess for this to work, there just have to be satellites already in orbit, and this lets you tap into them. But so that means the Terrans are like hella prepared. Anytime they go to a planet, they just like drop a bunch of satellites first before anything even happens. So we still have some harassment going on with Superhero. That Warp Prism went like way the hell over here for some reason, and then managed to find a kink in Breckon's defenses. We have a supply drop on the supply depot, I guess, to keep him from, or maybe that's not a supply drop. Maybe they just that's just the model is sometimes randomly that. I think it's a supply drop though, right? Well, I can't check the planetary fortress to tell me. Call down extra supplies. I think he must have done that. I think that's what makes it look like that. I don't know why he did that. Anyways, he's not supply capped anymore. If we check the APM, Breckon is rolling. Breckon's fucking. He's in turbo mode. We have an observer following the army, so it looks like Breckon's attack here is not going to do super well. We have a time warp drop to slow everything down. These force fields cutting all these people in the back lines off. We have Guardian shields going down, so the marine damage is negated, and now we just have such an overwhelming army with these immortals and these stalkers mixed in that Nick Breckon has basically no chance to survive. His attack has been entirely stunted, and now the medvacs don't even try and boost their way out of here. They're not igniting their afterburners. They're just sitting there and honorably accepting their death. I feel like Breckon could potentially have cut his losses there a little bit by moving the medvacs away, or moving everything away, or not attacking in the first place. There's a few options available to him, but that was a little disastrous. We have even a kill on this cute little disruptor, which basically you shoot this thing out and then it like kills everything where it is, and you can move it around. I, by the way, don't have the latest expansion to Starcraft II, so that's why I have very limited understanding of how any of this works. It looks like Superhero is going to kill some rocks. Those aren't the kind of rocks that fall and collapse. That's unfortunate. I was looking forward to seeing some people crash. So if we look at the upgrades, we have 2-2, no shield upgrades though. I suppose somehow shield upgrades are bad. 2-2 upgraded by Superhero, and Breckon sitting at a 1-1 on his bio, and a 0-0 on his mech, and a 0 on his ships. So he might be in trouble there. Managed to transfer some SCVs from here. That's pretty good. We've got this going up. The SCVs kind of hanging out, not doing anything. The SCVs that I said would be idle for the whole game are definitely not idle for the whole game. So I apologize to Nick Breckon for that. We have some siege tanks coming out. Siege mode is ready. Breckon's better get those set up soon if he wants to repel this attack, but it looks like they're going into the third, and that means it's going to be curtains for these SCVs standing around, curtains for the new command center, curtains for these really early built refineries. I guess you gotta set the refineries up. And Breckon is coming out to defend his third, and he gets annihilated by this disruptor shot, taking out a good chunk of his army. He does have these people set up in siege mode, getting some good pickoffs here, but with the Guardian shields up and the Immortals in the mix, it looks like the siege tanks are eventually going to fall. Now these units are in so close that they're just wrecking face, and it looks like with the last vestiges of his army decimated, Nick Breckon is going to hold somehow these 4 Marines chasing Superhero away. Superhero somehow not going for the killing blow. Perhaps the idea is that you don't really know how much production is in here, although you kind of do because you sent an observer in a while ago. You know, who knows what could be in there. Nick Breckon certainly has the resources to build a bunch of stuff, so the worry is that you overextend, you overplay your hand, and you get wiped out. So Superhero is too good to fall into that trap. I guess Disruptors, you can't see their kill count from Purification Nova. You only see their kill count from their normal attack. I didn't even know they had. It doesn't look like they have a normal attack. That can't make sense. They don't have a normal attack. How did they get kills? How come? Because we saw this Disruptor killed like 1,000 people. So maybe the Disruptor that killed people died, Now we have just these boring old disruptors. Let's check some kill counts. 1 kill, 0, 0, 1, 4. Ooh, this guy's a disciple. That's as many as you get for 1 kill. There's got to be an easier way to check the kill counts. There should be a button you can press just to find, yeah, check this out. This immortal is a mentor. Look at the damage these things do. 24, 60 versus armored. So yeah, you want to kill a siege tank. So we have a tricky little expansion going up here for Nick Breckon way in the north, unspotted at this point by Superhero. We have a probe transfer by Superhero. So now that they're mining, it's the econ advantage is definitely, I think, falling in favor of purple. In this game, we can safely say that purple is ahead economically. I think it's safe to say purple is ahead army supply-wise, nearly doubling Breckon in that. And if you look at the units killed, there is something of a disparity between the two players. So that's pretty exciting. Oh, look, 3 disruptors. So maybe one of these is the ones with the kill. No, they're all just, or those. That's definitely 3. It's very hard to count. This immortal has 17 health. Man, that thing was on the edge of destruction. That could have gone very badly for that one immortal, but still very well for Superhero himself, who has a commanding lead in this video game as a consequence of having played this game rather regularly and having gotten good, as opposed to Nick Breckon, hasn't played for 6 years. So there's a little downside there. So finally we have an observer spotted by Breckon, but the Marines not firing at it, instead electing to attack into the army. These Marines doing some okay damage because Superhero neglects to fire at them, but then Superhero changes his mind. And now we have the revealed observer waltzing back in to keep an eye on everything. So Superhero knows exactly what is going on. Like Patrick Stewart in that extra skit, he can see everything. It's too late. And really, Breckon's army is going to, I think, be insufficient for whatever attack comes. We have the disruptors trying to open up, trying to go in, do some damage, but they're a little out of range. The thing doesn't last long enough, not able to get into the siege tank. Breckon not reacting at all to this. Perhaps he thinks this is mind games. Mind games I don't need to worry about. Superhero still kind of winning the APM game, but again, Breckon is not currently microing his forces, so we'll have to... There we go, going up a bit. So we'll have to keep an eye on Breckon's APM as things get hot and heavy. Here's the disruptor going in. Boom, boom. Man, they do a lot of damage to those things. Only 1 hits, but that siege tank goes down. And oh, Breckon nearly walks into that thing. At this point, Breckon was trying to figure out how the Liberators work. He activates Defender mode. He activates Fighter mode. He activates Defender mode. He activates Fighter mode. So this was a very confusing moment for Breckon because these are new in the latest expansion, Legacy of the Void or whatever the fuck. So he has no idea what these things do, which is, you know, a little unfortunate. Maybe don't build Liberators if you don't know what they do. But Liberator sounds good, right? Like you want to liberate some stuff. If something's going to happen, you want to get the liberate. So we have the time bubble down here, ready to make the attack happen. That was just brutal. Those disruptors wipe out pretty much everything, and now, like a hot knife through butter, Superhero's army cleaves through Nick Breckon, who at this point I think has given up. He has 0 APM. I guess there's not much for Nick Breckon to do because his army is completely decimated. He's got 9 army supply, and now it's just a matter of the Protoss walking in and cleaning things up. So I hope you've enjoyed this excellent match of Starcraft II. Really 2 titans of the game, and that's it for Nick Breckon. So join me in my next shotcast when we have a rematch, and maybe now that Nick Breckon has gotten his sea legs, did you hear that cat? Maybe you can hear the cat. Now that Nick Breckon has gotten his sea legs, I'm thinking he's going to put up a fight next time, is my prediction. I tried to stop recording, but apparently that button didn't work.